Hello students, welcome to the last session of Unit 5, that is client and server side framework. So we are dealing with the last point, that is structs 2 in this unit, and this is the last session of this unit. So we have in previous session we have seen the structs overview, its architecture, configuration, actions. Okay, so this session will start with the interceptors. So interceptors are like servlet filters that execute before and after the requesting process. So there may be question for 6 marks like how to use interceptors in struct 2, and it will also be linked with the question like list and describe important interceptors that are provided by struct 2 framework. So the struct interceptors that will play the role of servlet filters, and that will be executed before and after the request is being processed. These are used to perform common operations for different actions. For example, logging, session validation, then adding common headers to response, etc. So all these things can be done with these struct interceptors. The interceptors are basically objects that intercept the action invocations dynamically and provide the developers the opportunity specific codes that can be executed before and or after the execution of any action. Okay, so interceptors allow for cross-cutting functionality to be implemented separately from the action and framework. So you can achieve the following using interceptors, like providing pre-processing logic before the action is called, that will come under category of execution, before execution. Then providing post-processing logic after the action is called. So this will be your post-processing, or you can call after the request is being processed, this action is being called. So you can also call the before the action is taken and after the action is taken. And the third part, caching exceptions so that alternate processing can be performed. So many of the features provided in struct 2 framework are implemented using the interceptors. The interceptors are you can give examples like exception handling, file uploading, then life cycle callbacks, etc. So these are all included under interceptors. In fact, struct 2 emphasizes much of its functionality on interceptors. So we can say interceptors is a core point related to struct 2 framework. Now here we have listed few important interceptors like alias, checkbox, I18N, that is nothing but the localization, and the 18 number here stands for the number of letters that are present from I to N. Okay. Then the exception that is used for mapping exceptions that are thrown from action to result and allowing the automatic exception handling via redirection, plus file upload, params, prepare, timer, token, validation. So all these interceptors are playing important role as their names suggest. Just you have to do the thing that you have to call them in the given syntax. So how these interceptors are created, you can see we will use the timer interceptor whose purpose is to measure how long it took to execute an action method. Okay. So now we want to perform a task that how much time does the action method takes. So we have used the timer interceptor. At the same time, we are using params interceptor that are used to send the request parameters to action. Then we will modify this in structs.xml file to add an interceptor. So how to add this we will see. We have to open the tag interceptor dash reference. The name will be having the value of interceptor name. So name equals to params and interceptor reference name equals to timer. So these two interceptors we have created. Then if now the interceptors we have seen that those all were built-in interceptors. So if you want to create your own interceptor, then the steps include using custom interceptors in your application. It is an elegant way to provide cross-cutting application features. Here the init method provides a way to initialize the interceptor, and the destroy method provides a facility for interceptor cleanup. Okay, so init method will provide a way to initialize the interceptor, like the init method we have seen in JSP servlet. Okay, so like that here also it will start your process, and the destroy method will clean up the interceptor data. Then the action invocation object provides access to runtime environment. So we can see the code. Public interface interceptor extends serializable. We have used two functions, void destroy, void init, and a strict intercept like action invocation. So instead of that we have used invocation parameter, and that throws the exception. So the simplest custom interceptor that can be created. Next comes the result types. So result and result types are basically important part of this struct2 framework. Result tag plays the role of view in struct2 MVC framework. The action is responsible for executing the business logic. Then the next step can be, after executing the business logic, is to display the view using result tag. Okay, so results tag will be used for displaying the view. Okay, for example, if the action method is to authenticate user, there are three possible outcomes. If you want to check the authentication of user, there are three chances, like successful login, unsuccessful login, like incorrect username and password. So this is the second possibility. And third, after trial of many incorrect username or passwords, the account will be locked. So these are three possibilities that can be undertaken while authenticating a user. So the result should be accordingly given, like if the username and password is correct, you will get the successful login as result. If it is wrong, it will give you unsuccessful login. And third will be, if you are continuously entering the wrong username or password, after some trials it will be automatically closed or banned, locked. So structs come with the number of predefined result types like dispatcher, velocity, free marker, redirect, XSLT, and tiles. So what a dispatcher is? So this dispatcher result type is the default type and is used if no other result type is specified. Okay, so this is default type, and if there is no any other type, you have to receive or you have to use that result specific data. Then it is used to forward a servlet, JSP, HTML page and so on the server side. This uses a request dispatcher dot forward method. This is all about dispatcher result type. Then how to use in code, we'll see. We have created the result type with name, success and type dispatcher. So we have created the file hello.world.jsp that's already saved somewhere, and close the result tag. So what this dispatcher result is the type of this default register. It will be used if no other result type is specified. Okay. Then the FreeMaker result type. FreeMaker is a popular templating engine that is used to generate output using predefined templates. Then let the user now create a FreeMaker template file that is called as hello.fm and with the following contents like hello world $name. Okay, that name is given in curly braces. The above file is template where nama or the name is a parameter which will be passed from outside using the any defined action. And the third part is the redirect result type. Previously we have seen the dispatcher result type. Second, the FreeMaker or FreeMaker. Then the redirect result type will call a standard response dot send redirect method that will cause the browser to create a new request to the given location. Then we can provide location either in the body part or of the result or as just param name and location, that is parameter name, and directly in double quotes you can provide the location. So redirect also supports the parse parameter, and in example we can see the result name it's given as success and type is redirect. Then the parameter name is location, and location we have provided as /newworld.jsp. So we have ended the script with the particular parameters that are used in code. This is about the results and result types. Next is the validation. So validation is again an important point in Structs2. At the Structs core, we have the validation framework that assists the application to run the rules to perform validation before the action method is executed. We can see, for example, the employee whose age we will put validation to make sure the user always enters a age in a range between 28 and 65. That means we have a condition of age here, that user must enter the age between 28 and 65. So this validation framework will check for validity if that particular age entered is with same validity or not. Then creating main page. So JSP file index.jsp that will be used to collect employee related information that is mentioned above. So how it is used, we can see in body tag we have used s is form action equals to employee info and method equals to post. Then the text field name is age, a label is age, and size is 20. Plus for submit we have given the submit label and align for submit button, that is center. Okay, so here is close of that particular code block. Okay, so we have created main page and we have included the form action plus text field name, and we have submitted that data. And then create views. We will use the JSP file success.jsp, which will be invoked in case defined action return success. So case defined action success will get the view part. So how that is used in JSP file, that we can see, like we have included the tag library prefix as yes and URI as stocks.tags and stocks dash tags, and in HTML body part we have written employee information is captured successfully, and there is the end of this script. So simply we will use any JSP file success.jsp that will move in a case defined action like return success. Okay, then we'll create action like action class employee with a method called validate in employee.java file. So here it is employee.java file, and how to initialize this with the action class employee with validate method. We can see we have used a public class employee extends action support. Action support is having 6 interfaces that we have seen in last session. Plus we have used private int age, then some variables we have defined, plus public string execute method that will return the success. Public int get age will return age. Then public void set age, here we have passed the parameter int age, and this dot age is given as age. Okay, so main motto of our program here is the employee must enter the age between 28 to 65. So we will use the if loop here. If age is less than 28 and age is greater than 65. So we can see the new type of code like age is less than 28 double quotes, sorry, and age is greater than 65. So and we have written both the conditions in this action form, like and then if that condition is true any of this, then add field error equals to age must be in between 28 and 65. So if the user is going out of that action part, then you have to use this validate employee method. Okay, then configuration files. So finally let's put everything together using the structs.xml file. So structs.xml file, that is again related with the implementation part or the configuration part. Okay, so we will use the structs.xml file and configuration file as below. That is shown. We have used the XML version plus encoding. We have shown doc type. We have used struct public. Okay, it is not like our everyday HTML code like doc type. It's HTML. So what we have done is we have used the configuration files, and this file should be used in your code so that it will give you validation framework in correct way. Okay, so you can see self name, its input, and index.jsp plus success slash JSP. Okay, so success.jsp, sorry, I said slash. So success.jsp, and there is end of result. Okay, so this will be related to configuration file of validation framework. The next part in this unit is localization. Localization or the internationalization or translation are the same terms. Yes, they are, and they must be used in at the correct place and in correct format. So internationalization, that is represented as I18N, and where I18N, this 18 is the number of letters or digits between I to N. Okay, it is the process of planning and implementing products and services so that they can easily be adapted to specific local language. Okay, so localization is nothing but the translation, and the internationalization process is called as the localization enablement. Okay, so main motto of this is to create any application in the user friendly network. Okay, so internationalization is abbreviated with I18N, and the word starts with the letter I and ends with N, and there are 18 characters between first I and the last N. Okay, so this is about localization. Instructs to it provide localization like internationalization support through resource bundles, and receptors are tag libraries in the following places. So these are places like the UI tags, messages and errors, plus within action class. So these are the things or places that we go through resource bundles. Now see what resource bundles are. Structs2 uses resource bundles to provide multiple language and local options. So you need not worry about writing code or writing your script in another language. Okay, so all of you have to do is to create a resource bundle of each language that you want. So you have to create, if you want to use like English, then Marathi, Hindi, then you have to use that particular resource bundle for each language, and that will be an easier task. Then the resource bundles will contain titles, messages and other text in language of your user. Then resource bundles are files that contain the key value pairs for the default language of your application. And simplest naming format for resource file is bundle name underscore language underscore country dot properties. With example we can see that that will be seen in the next slide. Okay, so here bundle name could be action class, the interface superclass, model package, global resource properties, etc. These are resources from resource bundles. Okay, so here bundle name could be, it could be just the key value pair for any default language of application. Okay. So bundle name could be action class, interface, superclass, model package or global resource property. Then the next part, language underscore country, that represents the country local. For example, Spanish local is represented by ES underscore caps ES, and English, that is United States, local is represented by EN underscore US. So this is the basic format for naming. Okay, that is bundle name underscore language and underscore country dot properties. So language underscore country, that is representing here country local. Okay, with example we can see that, but before that we will consider few points. To develop any application in multiple languages, you have to maintain multiple property files corresponding to those languages or local. Okay, for example, if you are going to develop your application US, okay, Spanish and French, then you would have to create 3 property files like global.properties. By default English will be applied. Second, global underscore fr.properties. So this will be used in for French local, and global underscore es properties, that will be used for Spanish local. So this is about the localization. Like you can select the local like English, Spanish or France, and once you have selected, then for example we have selected the Spanish, then it would display the result as name and age, okay, in the Spanish language. Okay, then the important topic is exception handling. Structs provide an easier way to handle uncaught exception, and it can redirect user to dedicated error page. Okay, so you can easily configure structs to have different error pages for favorite or different exceptions. So structs make the exception handling easy by the use of exception interceptor. How to create the error.jsp, that we'll see directly. We can use any script HTML body, and this is my custom error page. So we have ended that body tag and HTML tag. Let us now configure structs to use this error page in case of exception. So how we have to modify this, that we'll see. So let's modify the structs.xml for adding following line. Okay, so result name equals to error slash error.jsp and the end of result tag. So this is about the exception handling. We will just handle the exception if there is any, and we have to create simple JSP file that will consider the errors that are included or that can be run through program of structs2. Then we also seen the configure structs to use the error page in case of exception, plus we can modify this structs.xml by adding the line as result name equals to error slash error.jsp, that file we have already created. Okay, so this is about the exception handling in your structs2. Then the last part of unit is annotations. So struct2 annotations is again important topic, and as I have mentioned previously, structs provide 2 forms of configuration. The traditional way is to use the structs.xml for file for all the configurations. Then the user way of configuring the structs is by using the Java file annotations features. So using this status annotation, we can achieve zero configuration. Then to start using annotation in project, we have to make sure that we have included the following jar files in web content /webinf /lib folder. So this there is list of few jar files that must be included in your code or in your folder. Okay, so the folder is web content /webinf /lib. Okay, so this is about how the annotations are created. Then we will see annotation types. So annotation types include namespace annotation, that is action annotation, then result annotation. Result annotation as the annotations define a set of result for any action. Then before annotation and after annotation, that are interceptor annotations. Okay. And previous three were action annotations. Then in before annotation, the at before annotation marks action method that need to be called before the main action method, and the result was executed. So the return value is ignored, and we can call the annotation before. Okay. Then the email validator annotation. This is the part of validation annotation. So it will check for valid email. Then int range field validator. So it is the validation annotation again. So it will change for the integer range field. Okay. And required field validator is again the validation annotation, and it will give the required field for any validation or any type of code. So this is the example how to include the validation on name field and the age as range between 28 to 65. Okay. We can see here we have imported many Apache packages like org.apache.struct2 and convention annotation action, then annotation result, annotation results, plus we can call again the star package, so that all the packages that are under this annotation type may be included into your program. Then we have created a public class with name employee that extend action support class, and two variables with the string, that is name, with age, with int it is age. Then required field validator we have used. So it will pass the message as the name is required, and it will take the code, or it will write the code for we have to need include it in as public string get name function, and it will return the name, plus public void set name, that is string name, and this dot name equals to name. So we can see in the another dark blue line we have entered that int range field validator. So the message will be age must be in between 28 and 65. So minimum value is 28, maximum is 65. And public int get age will return the age, plus public void set age will be this age dot age equals to age. So this is the simple example of annotation. We have just included the annotations, that is required field validator and second is int range field validator, and message pass is for the condition that we are going to check. So this is all about the annotations that are used in struct2, and this is also the end of this unit. We are seeing a lot of things in this unit that are based upon recent technologies like AngularJS, then Node.js and Struts2. Okay, so please revise this video lectures plus the problems told, and the code included as example. You can just copy paste and execute the program by your own. Okay, so refer the videos and make your preparations. Here I have given the list of references, and all these references are very much important with the exam point of view. You can refer for your own preparation as well. Okay, so we'll meet in the next video session. Till that, take care and stay home, stay safe. Thank you.